Okay, all right, let's get into it. Today we're working on order of operations. So here's our first problem. When we solve an expression or simplify an expression like this, we want to think about the rules for calculating it. So if we don't have these rules, we might get a different answer if we just kind of proceed any way we choose. So in order to make sure we get a consistent answer, we're going to follow a set of procedures or steps. The first step is to always look in to see if you have parentheses. If you don't have parentheses, and in this case we don't, you move to step 2, right? And step 2 might be, do you have exponents? At the K through 5 level, you're not going to see exponents in any kinds of problems or expressions you might have to solve for order of operations, most likely. So that shows up more in 6th grade or middle school. So we can move to the next step. The next step would be multiplication and division. Do you see multiplication and division? Okay, yeah, we do. It's 2 times 1/10. So in this case, the first step we're going to follow is to multiply 2 times 1/10. So you should have a pencil and a spiral notebook so you can follow along and do some practice. And make sure you've written this down so you can work through it with me. So what is 2 times 1/10? Well, it's 2 1/10. Add those together, and what would you get? Right, you get 2/10. So what I do is I would write it below it, and I would show the other step or operation that I need to calculate next. So I have 3/5 subtract 2/10 now. That's the last step. Okay, so the first one I didn't really need to show work. This one I might need to show work. If you're not sure, you can do this in your head. Just calculate it on the side. In this case, we have 3/5 subtract 2/10. We need to first do what? Yeah, that's right. Find a common denominator for fifths and tenths. You might know it if you know your multiplication facts. You can think, to start, can I change the smaller denominator into the other larger denominator? In this case, change 5 to 10. Is there a way to do that? Yes, there is. So we can split 5 equal parts 2 times each, right? And then this is one way to calculate a common denominator if you go back and think about when we did that. So down below, I'll rewrite the expression again, this time as tenths. So 3 times 2, remember we have to do the same to the top and the bottom when we change the denominator, okay? So 3 times 2 is 6, and 5 times 2 is 10. Do I need to change 2/10? No, see, that's the beauty of thinking. Can I change the 5 to tenths? All right, so now we finish the problem or the expression, solving the expression or simplifying it by subtracting, and we're left with 4/10. That's right, 4/10. Okay, so that's all you do when you follow order of operations. Now, to remember those steps a little bit easier, sometimes it's easier to use an acronym or a saying. You can make up your own, but a very traditional one is for acronyms is PEMDAS. All right, an acronym is kind of like a word that you can write vertically, and then on the side, well, this is more like an acrostic poem, isn't it? Then on the side, what I do is I write what the word or letter stands for in that made up word. So parentheses. I'm going to run out of room here. All right, and then below that, exponents. And if you're doing this as a 5th grader, you're not going to be using exponents most likely. Then it's multiplication. And remember, multiplication, and division are kind of special division is next. You're going to do these or calculate these left to right. So if you see them both in the same expression, you're just going to go left to right to solve them. So you might see division first in the expression on the left side, or you might see multiplication. Whatever you see on the left side is what you do first. And then the last two are addition and subtraction. And the same is true about these two. We're going to work through them left to right. All right, so if we follow these rules, we'll always get a consistent answer that everyone else shares. Another way to remember this is the saying, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay, so that is another way to remember the steps for solving or simplifying an expression. All right, let's do another one. So another problem we could do is 40. Let's do this. Here we go. 40 divided by, let's see, 6 minus 1 in parentheses, and then times 3. So write this down and give this one a try. See if you can follow the steps. So pause the video and give it a try. Boom, there it is. All right, so you can see I saw that there was parentheses, so I did that first. 6 subtract 1 is 5. Then I have division and multiplication. So do you remember what to do there? Yeah, I work left to right. So 40 divided by 5 is first. And then I get 8. And then I multiply by 3, and I end with 24. Now, as you do these, you'll notice you'll kind of create this shape that's like an upside down triangle. So you're simplifying, getting down to one value that represents the expression. Okay? All right. So we'll do another one. Here we go. Let's try this one. All right, go ahead and try to solve this one. Oops, actually, I'm going to change it a little bit. My bad. Let's change it to this. I think this will be better. 66 subtract 150 divided by 10. Go ahead and try that one now. I'll pause the video, or you'll pause the video, and then you can get started. All right, Shazam, there it is. Notice that I divided first. 150 divided by 10 is 15, because 10 times 15 is 150. Then I subtracted last. Now, I wasn't sure if I would need to ungroup, so I wrote it vertically on the side here, and that's okay to do. Do a little work on the side, and I made sure I knew the answer, and it didn't need to be ungrouped, so it's just 51. Okay, so that's another good one to have done. We'll try one more here. Let's try this one. Okay, see if you can solve this one now. This may take a little time. You may have to go back in the Wayback Machine in your mind and remember how do I add fractions with different denominators. But go ahead and do that. Pause the video and give it a try. Boom. Okay, let's take our time walking through this one. This one was a little bit challenging. So first I had to make a common denominator. I found that I can change the 2 to eighths. I multiplied by 4, and I did that top and bottom, and I got 4 eighths plus 3 eighths times 24. Then I added those, and I came up with 7 eighths times 24. Now, I could have just multiplied 7 times 24 to get the number of eighths I would end up with, but I simplified before multiplying. This is a challenging skill, but you can divide the bottom and the top sometimes when multiplying a fraction times a whole number or another fraction. And in this case, I found that I could divide the bottom of 7/8 by 8 to get 1. And I could divide 24, which is basically 24 over 1 as a fraction. Okay, because 24 divided by 1 is 24. So 24 over 1, we can write that as a fraction. And we divide it by 8, and we get 3. Then we multiply straight across, and we get 21. Numerator times numerator is 21. And denominator times denominator is 1. Now, there's the 21 over 1. So again, if you remember what I just said, we can divide, because fractions are division. 21 divided by 1 is 21, because 21 times 1 equals 21. So there you have it. The simplified answer is 21. Now notice on the bottom, I was running out of room, so I just wrote it kind of like horizontally across, and I used equals to show you my work. All right. So that is order of operations. You can use PEMDAS to help you remember the order, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Remember, multiplication and division work left to right, and addition, subtraction, when you see those left, you work on those in the expression from left to right as well. Hope this was helpful. Until next time, folks, ciao.